Times constantly improved. By the end of the year, we were right in there. And the BAC meet, that just totally showed. The track, you talk about track and you think about an individual sport, but then again, you have the overall team concept. And we talked about who had to place and what position they had to get for us to be competitive in the BAC. And everyone either placed where I told them they had to, or they did better. And it came down to some athletes that were able to slip in and get a fourth place where I didn't think they'd be able to, or slip in and get a sixth place. Every single point mattered, because when you win by half a point, that's a team effort. When you win by 1/2 of a point, that's everyone involved. And I tell you, at the end of the meet, when we were all huddled up and waiting for that announcement, that was exciting to me. And with 81.5 points, I think everyone thought they were saying London for the meet. When they said Lakewood, wow, boy, we erupted. We really erupted. That was something. That was really something. And I think that was a payoff. I mean, that was a payoff for all the hard work. And I know these guys, we ran them like dogs. We ran them to death. We ran to the high school, and we had a hard practice. And then after practice, a lot of us had another practice. But I think by the end of the season, that really paid off. What we have here, we have your certificate for completing the track season. And then throughout the entire year, we've kept records as of every meet. We just have a chart. And in blue, you guys will notice, well, actually, let's start off in red. Everyone at their first meet set a PR. And from there, if your time's decreased, then it goes to blue. But every time that you follow this chart down and you see a red, that's an improvement in your time. So this will give you something to notice, you can look at, and as you come back out next year, I hope, and decide to run again, you can see some times that you can start at and then try to better yourself. We can go ahead and get started here. Josh Alcott, see you tonight. What time? Makes this quick. Josh Carter. Josh Carter. No. There we go.
Dustin Denton, all right. Dustin Denton. Dustin was essentially our thrower this year. He did shot put, discus, and he actually ran a 100-meter dash for us. It didn't hurt. Dustin! No, it didn't. One thing I say about Dustin, second BACs in the shot put. So, I mean, he definitely took it, like we said, he threw better and better and better, and it all came together in the big meet. So,
Go Diller! Let's go! Yeah. Let's go hard! Go hard! That boy got some up. Massive.
Josh. Tell you what, Josh was really hard. Josh was one of the most fun athletes I've ever coached. I haven't coached for long, but Josh does anything that you ever ask him to do. Never back talk. Doesn't give you a hard time. Doesn't complain. He just goes out there and does whatever you ask him, and does it as hard as he possibly can. When I look at, we do a lot of technique running. When I look at Josh's techniques, flawless. I mean, he looks almost beautiful when he runs. When he jumps, he can just absolutely float in the air. And I kept telling him, and I still do, once he grows up and gets a little bigger and gets some muscle in his bones, he's going to be a great athlete. He's been very fun to coach, and he's got bigger and better things in front of him. Congratulations.
Let's go hockey! Let's go hard!
Frankie was like my little experiment, no, I wouldn't say experiment. He was my boy this year. He was our main mile guy until someone else who thought he was a sprinter stepped up and became a miler. But he was our main mile guy. I was on him and on him and on him about his time. What time were you supposed to be? 6 minutes. 6 minutes, and he did. He ran I think a time that he didn't think he was going to run VACs. I don't think he thought he could run that fast. He ran a 550, and he said, I felt like I'm going to get sick afterwards. I don't know if he did or not. I don't want to know. He's another kid. He's going to run cross country next year, and he'll be back as an 8th grader. He'll be another one to look for at the VACs next year. He's going to be at the front of the pack.
All right. Thank you.
Todd was one of our relay guys, and for a 7th grader, I thought that any 7th grader that could actually make it and compete at the BAC meet did a heck of a job. And we had a couple of 7th graders that were able to compete, made it in 1 or 2 events, and were wondering if they could do more. And you were actually here. You beat out a couple of 8th graders. I mean, I'd be happy. I'd be really happy. Looking back at that BAC victory, I know you could place it at half a point. You could put that victory on just about any person and say you were the one that did it for us. It came down to one of the decisions that I made was whether to put Tyler Bennett in the 4x4 or put Todd Hunter in the 4x4. Well, I showed the meet before that, I put Tyler and Todd in a 400-meter dash to see who was faster. And Todd ran a heck of a leg. So that kind of made up my mind. And looking back on that after the meet, I didn't know that during, but looking back, if I had taken Tyler and put him in the 4x4 and not let him run the open 800 where he was 4th place, he would not have won the BAC. So I kind of give Todd a lot of credit for that. And he was really improved. Because I coached him as well in football. And I tell you what, he just looked like the slowest person I've ever seen. He would run like molasses. And he said that was just because he just wanted to be lazy. So next year, I don't see that happening. But now that I know that he has a little speed, he is greatly improved, and I think that he did a heck of a job for this year.
Go Todd!
Let's go, Monte.
Take a look at Monte's legs here, and there's a big length through quite a few of the meets. He had hurt his knee, but he has osteoarthritis. So he actually had to sit out quite a bit this season. But we look at the front page, and everything on this page is in red, which means that every time he ran a race, he improved himself. And that's basically what you have to do in track and field. He set himself up, he had a time, and he told himself, I'm going to go out, and now I'm going to beat that time. And that's what he's done the entire season. And that's great. Monte is the one that would have a smile on his face anytime I'd ever look at him. He could finish at 400, he's smiling. He could get ready to start at 100, he's smiling. He's been a great personality to have in the team. Today I think he almost shocked himself to death in a science class. Battery. He took a couple wires and stuck in his tongue.
That's smart. Monte for it.
The battery hooked up. So I think he found out. But yeah, Monte's been great. A lot of fun to have on the team. Look forward to seeing him again next year. Mike Hatcher. Mike was
Another 7th grader was another one of our throwers. Essentially, he did discus and shot put, more shot put than discus. And he's another one, if you look at his sheet of what he accomplished this year, there's a lot of red on there. You go down, it's all red. So he showed us that he was willing to work hard and improve every time he threw the shot. So, being a 7th grader, that's really, really encouraging because we're having next year to put a lot more red on this paper. So, Jared here.
Oh, wow.
Kenny here.
Kurt, Shellhouse.
Chris Legel.
Joe.
He's right there. Oh, my fault. Oh.
All right, Lance. decided he liked it, but not as much. He wanted to be a sprinter. And you know, I tell you, practice would be over, and he'd be in the blocks. He'd say, "Coach, time me, time me, time me." I mean, forever, every day after practice, time me, time me, time me. And he's got a lot of hard work in him, a lot of hard work. He's got a lot of red on his sheet also because, you know, he worked very hard. And being only 7th grader, he's going to be one that hopefully next year when he grows a few more inches, grows a little more muscle here, you know, he'll be a sprinter because that's what he wants to be. So, good job, buddy. He was another one of the mile 800 meter runners, and he's stepped it up a lot this year. He went from essentially being a miler to being strictly an 800 runner, and he showed us that he could do it. He stayed in there with some of our best 800 runners. I think with a little bit of work this summer and cross country in the fall, I think he's going to be a very good 800 meter runner next year. And congratulations. He's one of those kids that just say when he runs his 800, when he starts the race, he looks just as bad as he does when he ends the race. His face. But he is one of those kids, being a 7th grader, he stepped up this year in the discus, and his first throw of the year, which is a PR of 98 feet, he didn't reach that point until VACs. But I know he was at home because he bought a discus, and he was at home every night. Mom and Dad said he was throwing, I don't know how many times a night, but throwing and throwing. And he actually was one kid that I didn't realize we were going to get any points from him at VACs. And he stepped up and got 5th place.
All right.
When you go out and watch middle school discus, you're only going to see a handful of kids that are going to throw over 100. You're going to see maybe the top 6 kids or top 7 kids throwing over 100. And there might be 30 kids out there throwing. He threw 105. So
all right.
Opie and her.
All right.
Let's go, Muhammad.
Shake it, Muhammad.
Rob Wilson again. He's another one that he does come out and he doesn't complain about anything. Does everything you ask him to do, does it as hard as he can. You look at Rob's sheet and you'll get to see this red pretty much all the way through. Rob came out, he gave us a great season. Rob, I coached him again with a football team, and he was one of the few students that I was talking to. If they want to really be a good football player, they need to be out for the track team. Even if you're not the fastest kid on the track team, you need to be out to improve your speed. Because you need to use track as a tool for football. And Rob's out there, and he stuck through, and he gave us a great season. Hopefully we'll see him out in the football field in the future and back out on the track.
Let's go, Muhammad.
Marcus Russell.
Let's go, Marcus.
I will never look at Marcus again without laughing.
You want to talk about that?
Well, Marcus has given me a memory that anytime I'm feeling down, I can just think about that and it lifts my spirits. Any of the parents, and I don't mean to make fun of you, if any of the parents were not there, you missed a real treat. But you may possibly get to see that again on America's Funniest Home Videos.
Oh.
Marcus had the final leg before I won once, and he started losing his balance, and I could see it coming. And he wobbled, and he went, and he did a Pete Rose slide. But I tell you what, he did get up and he finished the race, and that took a lot of guts to actually do it.
Other than being the 4x1 anchor leg, he also threw a lot of shot and discus for us this year. One thing that happened with discus, which I know it upset him, and you know it happens. He's got 4 more years ahead of him. Is he missed the finals, making the final throw by 2 inches in BACs. Okay, so he was right there. It showed that he's right there at that same level as all the other top 6 people were in the BAC. So he'll get a mix. He'll get a lower. His shot put improved from 31 feet to 36.3 by the end of the year. So a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and you know, he worked hard. He deserves what he got.
One more thing about Marcus is that at the beginning of the season, Marcus kept telling me how fast he was. He thought that he could beat Matt. And I really didn't believe him until I actually saw him run. And Marcus is fast. And he earned his spot as the anchor on the 4x4 team. That was a no-given. He earned it. He was the fastest.
4x1. 4x4. He didn't make it run track one.
And Marcus asked me many times to get out there and race Matt in the Open 100, but just to keep from having some family feud, I didn't allow that to happen. So I don't know. To this day, I don't know who would win in the Open 100.
Marcus would.
Marcus
burn him.
Yeah, right. I burn you when you go.
I didn't want that to happen. Let's race each other. Marcus did give us some great space.
Come on, kid.
Brett Cooper.
Oh, Brett.
Brett was another one. He started off this season wanting to be a sprinter. So we let him try the 100, and things didn't pan out there. He tried the 200-meter dash. Just wasn't working out. And then he came up with an injury. So he spent part of the beginning of the season just walking around and jogging and soaking and icing and walking and stretching. And finally it came to the point where Brett, you got to start doing something. And so it was, we basically made him get back out on the track and run. And we kind of changed him from a sprinter to a middle distance. We let him try the 800 where he did well. He placed in a few events. And then we came to a meet, Triad Madison Plains, where Triad and Madison Plains had no long distance runner, no mileage. So Brett decided, well, let me try that, and he won the meet. And from there on, I think that built up his confidence enough that he really enjoyed the mile and stuck with it. And again, I keep going back to the BAC meet, a half a point. Coming around I'd say the final straightaway for the 100-meter dash, I think Brett was in 8th or 9th place. And he came with a kick that I'd never seen him have before. And he ran down at least 2, maybe 3 people to put him into 6th place. And if you've never been in that situation before, when you pretty much run as hard as you can for as long as you can, your body doesn't want to run anymore. Your head's telling you to stop. But Brett somehow got the strength to be able to run down 2 more people, 3 more people to get us a place. And looking back on that, if he doesn't do that, again, we don't win the BAC.
Oh, John. Oh, John. Let's go, John. Troublemaker Hill, baby.
Hollywood Hill.
Yep, Hollywood Hill.
Huh? What?
As much as we run and track, I could never figure this out, why some of the athletes would get into trouble so that we would make them run more. We made it clear at the beginning of the season that we wanted some disciplined athletes. And if you got in trouble in the classroom, I would punish you. I'm a teacher at the school, so I'll know about it. I'll punish you. If you get in trouble on the way to track practice, you will get punished. If you get in trouble at the track meet, at track practice, you will get punished. John found a way to slip 3 or 4 track seasons into this season. He ran more than any, he practically ran about 4 or 5 marathons after practice. Unbelievable. I'd say he was probably in the greatest shape that he'll ever be in his entire life. But as far as his times, John actually broke 2 school records. A big struggle for the longest time to actually make him do it, because when he was working out, the girls were running beside him right past him. And I think that kind of, but then again at the same time, I think it did motivate him to actually improve. And once he finally saw that he could excel, I mean, he really shot out. And if you would have seen him at the BAC, the biggest thing we had to tell John: attack the hurdle, attack the hurdle, attack the hurdle. And once he finally listened, that last hurdle at the BAC, he attacked it. The kid he was racing stutter step, and John won the event. So all right, Matt Russell. Matt came out beginning of the season, and one of the things that we kept getting on him about, because I told you, and I don't mean to embarrass him here, I told him he ran like an 8. You would ever watch Matt run, his arms are going everywhere, his legs are going everywhere, and he's just, long jump, he would drag his arms in the pit. So the same thing again, technique, 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 and it finally did pay off. Towards the end of the season, he was really improving. He jumped over 17 feet, and then we had the unfortunate incident. He ran the 100 and he pulled a hamstring. So that was really going to hurt us for the BAC meet. And he was able to come back from that. And at the BAC, I could tell that he was really struggling. He was in a lot of pain. He went over, he actually performed in the long jump, and took second place. Really stepped it up, got us some points that we really needed, and just did a heck of a job. The 4x4, he even went out and ran in that when his leg was still bothering him, and was able to run a good leg. And the 4 guys that we had on this team, Darren Sanders, Jordan Brock, Matt Russell, and John Hill, were 4 guys that I kept telling them, if they can ever get healthy and run the race that I know they could, we were ready to break the 4x4 relay. And had we had another meet or 2, I think they would have been able to do that. BACs came up too fast. In order for us to get the max amount of points, we couldn't afford to put them together in a relay. But again, Matt, heck of a season. I hope you take this in the next year.
Mr. Consistency. This is one guy who, if we had to say, let's put him in a 400, or let's put him in an 800, or let's just pick a race, we could say right off, we know he's going to run this time, or within this 3 or 4 seconds, because he was so consistent all year long. He ran the 800 for us about halfway through the season, and it was just, from that point on, it was PR, and he'd run it so fast, I think it was hard for him to get a PR, because he'd run so well. At the VACs, in his leg, he ran a 60-second flat 400. 60-second flat. I don't think anyone else on our team run that fast, other than I think maybe Jordan run faster.
I run 59. I run 59.
Consistently.
Oh,
he's won, other than run the 800, he did a lot of relay with us. He does 4x1, 4x4, and long jump. So he's one of those kids, I think, with keeps working at it, keeps working hard. He's got a bright future out of high school, and I think he's going to be an asset to their team.
Darren was one that I would always make lead off in a relay, and that was because he had run track before. He was the only one that knew he could really come out of the blocks. And he came up to me at one point and said, I have to start this off, especially the 4x4. Do I have to start this off? Yeah, Darren, I'm going to make you start this So we need someone that can come out and run a good, hard leg. And to come out and run that first leg of the 4x4, you have to be very, very mentally tough. And that's exactly what Darren was. Darren was very mentally tough. And it didn't matter the conditions, it didn't matter how he felt. He always came out and gave you a great leg. He would finish first or second. Always. I mean, no questions asked. He would always do that. At the beginning of the season, Darren would come out. He was, I'd say, one of the biggest slackers that we had, and I didn't understand that. He was very lazy. And I stopped him one day because we were long jumping, and he told me what he had done before in some of his times. And I was, yeah, right there, get out of here. You're lying. So no, coach, I really have. I said, well, why aren't you practicing like that? And that's basically all that it took. From that day on, he gave me the effort that it took. I mean, he came out from that day on and just ran some incredible practices, and it really showed the BAC. He won by 20, 30 meters, and he smoked everyone. And it's hard for him to go out and set new PRs. There's no one to even run any faster than himself run faster. It's a great season, a lot of things to look forward to. All right, so last, we have Jordan Brock.
Yeah, Jordan, little Tokyo. Let's go, little Tokyo.
If we had to give an MVP for our track season, definitely this is man. Jordan Brock finished first or second every race, every event that he was in this entire year. Never worse than second place. One of the most impressive things that I saw out of Jordan was, what was the meet? The Wilmington Invitational, where he went and he placed second place in the high jump, where he was beat by a boy that jumped 6 foot, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. When Jordan jumped 5'8", I was impressed. When he jumped 5'10", flabbergasted. And then I saw someone jump 6 foot, and I mean, that just blew my mind. I mean, when you look at a bar, you're looking up at it and say, I'm going to jump over that. It's incredible. But that's what he did. He came back the very next meet, he had to face that kid. And I had talked to Jordan, and I had thought about maybe possibly moving him to long jump just so he could not have to face that same athlete. He's like, no, I want money. So I gave him a chance. Jordan went out that meet. He jumped 6 foot, broke the meet record, broke the school record, and got first place. Absolutely. One more funny thing I have to say about him is that we were gathered around towards the end of the meet at the BAC, and Coach and I were trying to figure out in our head what the score was. We knew it was close. We thought maybe it was tied. We thought maybe we lost by 2. Maybe we won by a point. We weren't sure. So Jordan comes over and he asked me, boys standing around, you'll get a kick out of this. He says, Coach, how do you think we did? To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I think that maybe we lost by 2, but there's a chance that maybe we tied the meet. He says, well, what happens if you tie? He said, well, what they do is they line up the 2 head coaches and they race. Jordan's eyes got this big, yes, you got it. The excitement in his eyes. I saw that other coach and he was sure that I had it. That was another moment. Jordan Brock, absolutely incredible athlete, any sport. He's got, and I really, really hope that he sticks to the track. I mean, I know he wants to play baseball, but I could possibly see Jordan Brock from a few of these other athletes state track meet freshman, sophomore year. And that's really incredible. That's an experience that you will never forget. You will never forget that. Congratulations. He has his name in the Clinton Massey. Is that the?
Massey.
Clinton Massey. He's in the Clinton Massey program now for the high jump record, and that may be a record that will stand for years. I could see that never being broken. 6 foot's phenomenal. That's got to be one of the best jumps in the state of Ohio, if not the country. I think that's pretty much it. Thank everyone for coming out. We had a great season. Thank you for all the support. Sticking with us. I hope to see everyone out next year.
Hey,